for more details on nuances on the regional color of both the recovery and the fallback in the recovery. But let me get Dr. Mundle in. Dr. Mundle, if you looked at the Nomura recovery rate, and the bar chart will come up for you, you can see it if your television is on. If you take 100 in February, we saw it go all the way down to 40 in April, and then we are recovering fairly continuously to come to about 70.5 if I'm not mistaken in end June. And thereafter there are two readings which are distinctly lower, coming down to 69 and then now to 65. That's the Nomura index, business resumption index, which means even with a goodish bit of recovery, we are only at 70% of the economic activity compared to a normal pre-COVID level of February. And then we have now fallen to 66% of the normal or the pre-COVID level. Is that a bit worrying that we have peaked off, and even the peak is only 70%?
Yeah, well, it's certainly disappointing. First of all, I haven't seen Nomura index. I'm just going by your description.
Yes.
And but it's completely consistent with everything that Mahesh just said on the labor force participation rate and unemployment rate. Because as he says, all the positive there is entirely driven by, the migrant labor went back, the rise in Manrega, and the high sowing season. If you look at the urban side on his unemployment story, there's really no improvement. And that's consistent with what you're seeing in the Nomura sort of activity indices. It's disappointing, but that's where we are. As you know, we have assessed that in the first quarter of this financial year, output, and this is combining agriculture. There are some services which actually grow, like government service and so on. Others have gone flat or fallen. Industry certainly suffered very badly. So as a ballpark figure, we take it that it was down by about 25% in the first quarter. I'm still hoping that you take the second quarter as a whole, that is July, August, September, that we'll be down by about 17.5% compared to last year. These are guesses. I'm not pretending there's any more than that. It's just our judgment that we will slowly recover. Maybe it'll be like steps, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and so on. That's what's happening now. Because, the whole treatment of, the government level of how to deal with the crisis is also going in this stop-go fashion.
Yes.
They open up.
That is my point, sir. Until now, we have been assuming that April, May, June will be the worst quarter because of the severe lockdown in April and the gradual recovery in June. But the manner in which so many metropolitan centers, over the weekend we reported Pune, Pimpri, Chinchwad is one of the biggest auto hubs for the country, as well as used to be a pharmaceutical hub as well, Pimpri in particular. Aurangabad also, auto hub has locked down again. And then Bengaluru we know, Chennai we know. These are huge employment generators. Delhi and Mumbai never quite came out of the lockdown entirely. So do you think you will have to revisit the theory that second quarter will even be a recovery, or am I being a pessimist too early?
Well, first of all, we are all in a zone of guessing. I don't know. I will still not give up that assumption that the second quarter will be a little better than the first quarter. Because if you go behind all this to the underlying number on how the virus is actually spreading, and there you can't look at these numbers of cases and so on, that recording is depends on how much testing is being done, not being done, reported. A much harder number that I look at every day is actually the number of deaths, COVID-related deaths.
High.
And the growth, of course, the absolute number is high. But the growth rate of that, which was around 20% when we first introduced lockdown, is now down to about 2.5%. And there's a very steady decline in that. If you fit that curve, you will see that it's very clear. So you look at the absolute number on top, and obviously everyday television report, highest spike. Of course, it's highest spike because it's rising on a larger base.
Yes.
Any positive growth will make it highest. but the rate at which it is increasing has in fact been coming down very consistently. The odd day you will get a spike sometimes, something was not being probably reported and they catch up. So, so that is there at the back of my head, that actually the deaths caused by the spread of this virus are increasing but at a decreasing rate. And if I just project this curve that has been going, I would imagine that by September or so, thereabouts, we will have reached what they call, flattening, which means that the absolute number of deaths stop rising.
Okay.
But, that means you really cracked the problem, and that's the ultimate. But before that, I think the growth rate itself will reach zero by, I think, sometime in August.
Oh, yes.
And that's the big thing.
Yeah, that can definitely lead to what you call V-shaped. But let me toss the same thing to Aurodeep. Aurodeep, what are your latest numbers telling you? Will you all have to revise your GDP numbers lower or higher? I think you were the first guys to say -5.
Yes. So we were the first guys to panic.